need to unmute.
Carl?
Thank you very much. Oliver, do you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, I hear.
Okay, we have to mute one of the cameras.
Yeah.
I will.
So, I'm sitting here with Sandip, Bhagat, and we had you before. Thank you very much for now joining us at our hub live. And we would like to have a fireside chat with you, and thank you very much for agreeing.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me join you.
Thank you. So let's start. And I am sorry that I asked you to reintroduce you and your company and everything, because the videos are at the end cut. So we need it.
No worries at all. For those of you who haven't met me or know me, I'm Chief Investment Officer at Whittier Trust. Whittier Trust is a multi-family office. In fact, it is the oldest and largest privately held multi-office here in the western part of the United States. We manage about $20 billion for about 500 different families. My career, Carl, has focused just on wealth management, investment management. It is now in its 4th decade. My prior firms have been Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, and Vanguard. And I am, as I said before, delighted to join you for a conversation.
Thank you very much. So this conversation, let's start just to speak about risk. You are a wealth management firm, so this is one of your biggest concern, am I right?
Absolutely. And Carl, the last 2 years have been so unprecedented. I know that word is used loosely, probably overused, maybe even abused, but really it is hard to imagine what we have seen in the last 2 years. And without that perspective on risk management, on building diversified portfolios to begin with that could absorb all of these pressures in turbulent market conditions, starting with from that vantage point, to then continuing on and avoiding what would have been really expensive mistakes. Imagine panicking and selling out at the end of March 2020. Right? Markets had declined by about 35%, and that would have been selling at the low. So we had to draw on every ounce of judgment, skill, experience to navigate these turbulent times. And I'm happy to report that we got most of the things right.
I just want to make a disclaimer here. This video is informational only. None of us, not Mr. Bhagat, sorry, my tongue was
it's not an easy word.
Sandip Bhagat, not me, give any financial advice here. We're speaking just about our personal opinions and about risk in this time after COVID or right now with COVID. So COVID changed, how you say it already, to safeguard your investments from the firms. What do you see is the biggest risk which we face right now after 2 years in the pandemic?
Carl, I'll give you a short answer and then I'll give you some background on how these risks have evolved. So as we speak right now on the 18th of January, without any doubt, inflation is the single biggest investment risk. Now, how did we get here? Why is inflation such a question mark? And was that the #1 risk factor all along? I don't think so. Just let's roll the clock back a couple of years, right? The virus comes out completely out of the blue. At that time, this is what we knew about medical science and innovation and history in this field. No vaccine had ever been developed in less than 3 years. And here was a genetic map of a virus that the world had never seen before. So the future was supremely uncertain, and the virus, by and large, by and far, was the biggest risk out there. And then human ingenuity, medical innovation came through in spades. We developed not one, but several vaccines. We were able to roll them out quite easily. And so that risk has been conquered. And then what happened along the way was, because the pandemic created the it turned out to be the shortest. We put together a lot of stimulus by way of policy responses. So it is the central bank's job to control interest rates. They also engage in something called quantitative easing, which is the purchase of bond assets in order to lower interest rates. Central banks engaged in a lot of government spending. That stimulus was so massive that what it has led to today is a very strong economic recovery. And because supply chains have been disrupted,